Oh boy. Ubisoft has launched their next live service title, following out of the likes of Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones I didn't think I'd enjoy, and only ended up trying and figuring out I did enjoy it because of that 8-hour trial that they offered. I'm currently waiting for Season 2 and hopefully some good new content there, but I'll hold my breath after this latest one. Anyways, this is about XDefiant and not Skull and Bones. I just wanted to put their other last paid-for title out there that as a live service game. As a game that just comes out with a lot of elements such as PvP and how it feels. It just feels a lot better than XDefiant, and it is a game. It is surely a game. I don't mean I think like it's amazing or the next coming of a team-based hero shooter with objectives and whatnot. I just mean that it exists. Do you remember the late 2000s and early 2010s? Call of Duty Modern Warfare was such a huge hit in 07 that suddenly every game wanted to be it. Every publisher and developer needed to make a COD. They wanted to capture that magic. By capture that magic, I of course mean make a shit ton of money. You had Medal of Honor shift into being a Call of Duty clone with the 2010 reboot and worse, Warfighter follow-up. Crisis 2 and 3 were such major shifts and diversions from that original Crisis, which was near an immersive sim level the first title, and those became just an attempt to being a futuristic Call of Duty. Then you had Homefront, which was like a resistance-based fighters COD clone based in an occupied United States. Killzone 2 implemented many of those Call of Duty qualities into its multiplayer, same as Killzone 3, but at least they felt like they were heavier, weightier, slower, more precise, more direct. So they still felt unique and good, I thought. I loved Killzone 2 and Killzone 3. I thought they were really fun. Then you had Resistance 2 also from Sony, and that tore away from its uniqueness and became an Alien COD clone Resistance fighter game, however, with an albeit larger player count. Oddly enough, MAG, Sony's massive action game, while tearing a lot away from Call of Duty at the time, managed to be a very unique take on that formula by fusing it with certain MMO aspects, forcing you as the player to permanently choose a faction to fight for in each character. But then, when you had your weapon classes and builds based upon available items to those factions, MAG was great as well. Man, PS3 did have some good FPS games on it, and it was the only game of its type outside of PlanetSide. But most games just seem to squander their way into forgettable and awful Call of Duty clones. Anyways, why am I mentioning games that are around a decade old and that feel like they're just trying to rip off Call of Duty? Well, XDefiant feels like it's trying to be one of those games mixed with another game from this era, Team Fortress 2, hero shooters. So you have your Call of Duty clone taking character classes from Team Fortress 2, and bam! Ubisoft presents not anymore Tom Clancy's presents XDefiant. Obviously, it does have its own things that make it unique. Some of them are really good things, and unfortunately, I think most of the game is just not good. Character classes are referred to as factions, all of which are taken from numerous Ubisoft games that they have in their portfolio. Here at launch, we have 5 factions, meaning 5 classes. And they each have an ultimate ability that's unique to the factions. Then they have different special gadgets they can use that are on a cooldown that you can choose between 1 or 2 of. You have the Libertad from Far Cry 6. The Freedom Fighters of that game take on the role of healers. You have Phantoms from Ghost Recon. They take on the role of sort of the tankier, more damage-taking kind of class, which can deploy a riot shield to absorb some bullets, or a mag shield, which is a deployable blocker of enemy projectiles. Then you have the Echelon of Splinter Cell taking on the role sort of like the scout or assassin style of role. You have the Cleaners, one of the enemy factions from the Division series, who do bring their fire kind of usage here into the game, and their passive, which light people on fire, or, you know, throw a firebomb at the ground, throw out a drone that spits fire and explodes. And finally, you have DedSec from Watch Dogs 2 taking the sort of like disruptor debuff class. They don't all really make sense coming together, but here we are. Classes aren't restricted to primary, secondary, or device roles. Throwable gadgets such as grenades, I mean. Any class can use any primary weapon or secondary weapon or throwable grenade device. that is a nice change. So you can be a frontline Libertad using an SMG or a shotgun, or a longer range using a marksman or a sniper rifle. Same goes for each other class, offering you the chance to utilize their skills in different means based on the game mode and your weapons chosen. This is one of the great things I think they've done with a hero shooter. You're not, just kind of a phantom forced into being a upfront only close range role using only shotguns or like light machine guns or SMGs. You can use a sniper rifle or a marksman rifle or a shotgun or assault rifle or any gun you so choose. Now, moving back along to being more along of a Call of Duty ripoff, weapons. You use them and you level them up. You unlock attachments and you customize your loadout with percentage increases and decreases, which have some percentage decreases as trade-offs. A sight that gives you a better zoom or a sight picture, but a loss of APS time. Grips that increase vertical recoil but reduce flinch and horizontal recoil. We've seen this before in the decade of gods and games trying to emulate them. Weapons seem to take a very long time to level up though. They take a long time to level up unless you're using the weapon XP buff boost. In my playing time, I did not even get the M4A1 close to being max level, and this was across 8 to 10 hours, is most that I could stomach of this game. And you have 42 levels to go before you have every single attachment unlocked. Beyond that, each gun has a level 50, 75, and 100 milestone, which you unlock a bronze, silver, or gold variant to use as the base for your gun. So you'll be grinding for an unbelievable and unreasonable long time for those skins. Gun classes also have a challenge to do to unlock other guns in that class, broadening your weapon blocker selection. Some of these are also unbelievably and unreasonable long grinds, and this is due to how long the weapons seem to perform in multiple ways. The difference in accuracy on the red dot sight and the holographic side of the M4A1 shouldn't be what it is, but it is. The red dot seems to have more random spread, and especially when you're hit from flinch from enemy damage, and they really throw your shots out of whack. The holographic doesn't seem to suffer from this nearly as much. The slight zoom on the holographic is also a major boon over the red dot's just no zoom. It's just such a massive improvement, while the red dot is barely an improvement over the iron sights. Here's where an issue in the loadout system really comes. Once you unlock a slot, you just use it. There's no really trading off performance gain from one slot or another. You can use all the slots at the same time as long as you have an attachment unlocked for that. Whereas in other major popular shooter, Call of Duty, you have a limit on the attachments you can equip. Instead, XDefiant will be based around just grinding a weapon from absolutely atrocious and awful until it's usable and has every slot filled. There will never be a moment where there is a time where you don't want to use an underbarrel attachment. It's always better to have one equipped, and there's no trade-offs, and you don't have a decision on different attachments to put on your gun. There's no numerical restrictions. Herein lies another major problem. In Call of Duty, and I'm going to reference this a lot as this is the closest game that XDefiant is trying to mimic overall, and what series whose market share it's trying to creep into. Weapon attachments are augments that affect functionality. A bare gun is still actually usable and viable in moment-to-moment gameplay. XDefiant, however, there is a zero situation in which your base gun at level 1 with no attachments, hell, at level 7 where you still haven't filled out all of the slots, it's just 1,000% worse than a gun at level 20, which has something in every single slot, where it can be loaded out completely and optimally, and there are optimal builds for your guns. XDefiant suffers from the fact that each gun will have the best build for it, and nothing else will really be viable. There will be a strict meta, and that's just how it will be after an immensely long, excruciating, boring, horrible grind. Speaking on this, guns are so all over the place in functionality and usability. You start off with two assault rifles, for instance, the M4A1 and the AK-47. I tried using the AK at first, but it is so abysmally bad. In my time, I have not seen another AK-47 be used in the game. I only ever saw M4s, and then the next gun unlocked, the ACR. Fast fire rate is king, and that is all that matters. with the server instability and just absolutely awful hit registration that is still present after the previous betas and long delay from the last beta to launch, there's zero reason to not use a bullet hose weapon. There's an exception, obviously, when you're using a sniper rifle or marksman rifle or shotgun, where they're just not going to be a bullet hose, but that's it. Very rarely will you survive one shot from a sniper rifle. In that case, I only survived a shot, being hit by a shot once. That was at 10 HP, and that was probably only because I was playing as a Phantom who has an extra 20 health. They take reduced damage from other things as well. The AK-47 just fires too slowly. You can't track. Hit registration is terrible. It's just all around bad. And another good thing, though, since I'm mostly just tearing down this game, which I just did not enjoy at all, is how the maps are clearly designed for a game mode above others. You queue into a game and you're given a game mode and a map that was made specifically for that game mode. Escort maps won't share the same map as Occupy or Domination. They are unique and thus extremely or fairly well balanced in the worst cases. Escort can be a bit unbalanced as you have one team pushing a moving objective along a path and shifting spawn points at stages, but that's just bound to happen with this type of mode and has since 2007 with Team Fortress 2. Overwatch and Overwatch 2 seem to kind of do a decent job with this, thanks to heroes having movement boosting abilities that can be used team-wide in some instances, but that is a special case as Overwatch 2 launched in a fairly good blotted state. Not so much here on that, but the maps overall and the modes are fairly well done. Now that I've gotten some faction, loadout, and map discussion out of the way, let's just talk about how it feels. I 100% believe that XDefiant feels like a cheap knockoff of one of those late 2000s, early 2010 knockoffs of a Call of Duty clone. I just think it feels simultaneously clunky and floaty, which I am honestly impressed by. Animations are stiff, if at all present. Strafing while sprinting feels weird and floaty, like you are controlling a boat, or just a camera, not a character model. Mantling over walls or through windows or on top of cars or objects to go up to higher places is jarring. The animation's very stiff, it just happens in stages and is not smooth at all. Honestly, XDefiant feels like we're playing a mobile game from Gameloft. Modern Combat 3, 4, or 5 or something. And it's even worse when looking at other players. Sometimes their animations just don't trigger and they end up on top of things. You can see the lack of animation variety when they're strafing, when they are moving diagonal while sprinting forward or going sideways. There's 8 animations: forward, left, back, right, then one variation in each cardinal direction. You can jump maybe a foot off the ground, which is realistic, sure, but that just doesn't fit in with literally everything else in the game as well, and its gameplay style. Aiming is also just kind of fucking whack. It feels clunky and slow. Moving the crosshair is smooth, except when it isn't. I don't know why, but at times it feels like you're trying to drag your mouse across the pad while it's fighting you the entire way, making aiming jittery, jarring, and sudden. Whereas often, other times it's just smooth, like you would expect a shooter to be. Quite honestly, it feels like there's an anti-auto aim included in the game at times when people are using a mouse and keyboard as their control method. If it was just consistent, I could adapt to this and how it feels, but it's just not. It's not even just like a weapon class thing, it's just across the board for every weapon class. Trying to make adjustments vertically just doesn't work when in a firefight. There's mouse deacceleration or something prohibiting you from making minor vertical adjustments in a firefight with an opposing player. And people have figured this out. I've never encountered a game where spam crouching and bunny hopping has worked so efficiently in a game before. You can't do anything at that point, and a firefight, a one-on-one firefight, becomes a ridiculous looking gimped bunny hop crouch teabag spree until someone just dies or until someone else comes around the corner and just shoots you in the butt. Speaking of just bad systems, the servers and hit registration. Even if the game feels like it's operating correctly, sometimes you'll hear XDefiant's unique hit marker sound for a headshot, followed by 4 more. then you will die to your opponents. Your headshots aren't always registering. Your body shots aren't always registering. Hits are registering behind walls or not at all, as if the other player is already behind a wall. This is why slower firing weapons just aren't useful when you need a bullet hose. Range of weaponry is seemingly random as well. Assault rifles seem to do less damage up close than an SMG, even if they have the same fire rate. Weapons have a sweet spot for range where they're at full capability, doing a ton of damage, but if you're too close or too far from an opponent, the damage just doesn't fall gradually, it just falls off a cliff. I want to, after having played this game for 10 hours for this review. That is, of course, not present with sniper rifles. They are one-hit machines at all ranges. Pistols also seem to be unreasonably strong. They're the strongest weapon out there behind sniper rifles. In most situations, I just ended up starting to switch to my pistols if they were within 15 feet of me, as it was just a better solution than an assault rifle. Their headshots seemed to work. One headshot would kill them, or a headshot and a body shot, or a body shot and a headshot. It just seemed to work. Whereas my M4, I would get the registration of 4 headshots, then I would die from like 3 chest shots from their SMG. Then let's get into monetization. It is a free-to-play game, so of course there is monetization, and I don't believe that's necessarily a bad thing. The developers, they made a game, they need to earn money to support it, of course. Currently there is a Founder-style support pack, which unlocks the DedSec faction right away for use. Otherwise, you need to grind 700,000 XP to unlock the faction, which seems unreasonable. Well, I mean, actually, it seems reasonable at first, but XP is so slow to accumulate in this game, especially when the challenges don't seem to make sense. I'm looking at you kill enemies under effects. What the fuck is even considered an effect? The cleaners light people on fire with their bullets as a dots, but if you kill them while they are on fire with damage from shooting them, it doesn't count. But it counts sometimes if you switch to your pistol to finish them off. Jesus fucking Christ, this game is so bad. Anyways, back to monetization. The game is in its preseason. There's a 42-day battle pass down to 41, 40, or 39, or whatever, depending on when I get this impression video edited and uploaded. Nothing, literally nothing in this first battle pass is available to you if you do not buy it. Everything is locked behind a purchase of the pass. I can't think of a single other game I have played that has had a battle pass, essentially, but does not have any free items in it. Even Magic the Gathering Arena, which I have called as the worst battle pass in any game ever, has recently stepped it up with its offerings and now offers a free reward every other level. Well, you get nothing in XDefiant unless you purchase that. There's not even free subpar gun skins or character skins. Call of Duty's weird battle pass map will have a free thing in each zone, usually. That's not like here. Then there's that. Each faction has pre-canned and made members that you can play as. So far, 3 are present for each faction. This means that, of course, there will be even more skins that are unique to each faction, but only 1/3 of that faction, and that's until they decide to add a 4th or 5th member to each faction. There's some in the Battle Pass, and there's some that you can just straight up purchase in the shop, and then there's some in special launch packs, and who knows what their strategy will be later on. Ubisoft has released a roadmap for XDefiant as well. 4 seasons a year, each will include new guns, more skins to sell, more factions, yada yada yada. You know how it goes. Oh, and new maps and game modes, of course. Currently, the Founders Pack is a shortcut pack as well. It's a pay-to-skip-the-line pack. It's a pay-for-convenience pack. I fucking loathe and despise this shit in games where there are PvP components, and I do not like them in PvE games. It's extra monetization on top of an already extremely heavily monetized game. I'd have recorded some footage of the shop, but I didn't think of it until writing this, and I have already uninstalled the game. A match was just so bad watching my bullets go through people, I just Alt F4'd and uninstalled. Anyways, I'm sure every season will have another sort of Founder-style pack. Currently there are 3. one at $19.99, one at $39.99, and one at $59.99 option. These all unlock DedSec, some skins, other character models, and other such goodies as XP boosts and whatnot. So you are paying to shortcut a faction and paying for expedited unlocks of weapons and attachments. Glory be to the microtransaction. Man. Look, I thought Ubisoft did a banger job with their monetization for Skull and Bones. There was a battle pass. Yes, it's just something we deal with now. But the gameplay altering items were available as free to unlock, and so you could just, play it and unlock them. Super quick and easy to level up and unlock. Only cosmetic items were locked behind paywalls. They offered no actual form or function, they were just visual. And there were just numerous in-game cosmetics that you could unlock that were numerous and phenomenal and looked great. That doesn't exist in XDefiant. Yes, it's a free-to-play game. It's not a $70 game. Battle passes and cosmetics for characters, such as skins, make sense, but for fucking real, Ubisoft, you have advantages you can pay for, a faction resulting in a class which has abilities that you can pay to access earlier before everyone else, starting at $19, then up to $20, then up to $40, then up to $60, with other boosts to unlock weapons faster and their attachments faster, just giving such a huge fucking edge. Like, they are trying to normalize paying for these early advantages, and I fully expect in the future that weapons will be able to just be bought for outright rather than unlocking them normally. Rather than the already present XP boosts, you'll be able to just pay for your weapon to be leveled up, and, look, all those attachments are unlocked. This game has a ranked component, and it's in preseason right now. There's supposed to be a competitive ranked playlist. A game that has what amounts to a class locked behind a paywall, or an unreasonable grind, meaning that to have the best advantage, you best buy that Founders Pack or whatever faction pack they add in the future. Same goes for weapons. When there's a new weapon that's just broken, you best buy it for that early advantage while you can before, well, it looks like they balanced it, they fixed it, and they nerfed it, and now it's available to everyone to grind. I honestly have zero hope for the future of this title and its microtransactions. They are already starting off in a bad way. They will only get worse. And this just makes me think of what Airship Syndicate just recently did. They just ditched their free-to-play microtransaction-heavy model and just got rid of all the live service bullshit with their relaunch of Wayfinder into Wayfinder Echoes. So good for them. I can respect that. I hated that game at launch. I might support them now that it's just dropped and all the classes are unlocked. But Ubisoft here is doing much worse than how Wayfinder launched, because this is a PvP title rather than PvE, which Wayfinder was. Anyways, this is carried on long enough. I don't even know if I have enough footage for all of this, but XDefiant is just absolute fucking garbage in my opinion. I play a lot of shooters. I played Tarkov considerably until the cheating just really got out of hand. Marauders, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Counter-Strike, Valorant. It's not like I'm new to this genre. Even hero shooters, TF2, Overwatch, shit, Super Monday Night Combat, which means that those Valve leaks for Deadlock has me excited. Give me another third-person shooter MOBA. Inject that shit into my veins. But the delay for XDefiant just wasn't enough to fix their broken server issues and hit registration systems, and everything about the game feels clunky and out of place, like it was multiple different genres of shooter mashed together into technically what is a working product. A great idea of unique factions or classes, and their kits and abilities not limited to specific weapon types and loadouts that just give you some free form of customization. It's all great on top of maps created and utilized for specific game modes, meaning that the maps are actually good, they're well balanced. Call of Duty's maps are just awful. Like, half of Call of Duty's maps are just out of place and are not made for game modes played on them. XDefiant is not that way. The map design is fantastic. The kitting of your characters is fantastic, albeit kind of goofy when you have cleaners referring to themselves as heroes. Whatever. But there's just not enough despite all those things, just not enough to make the game great. It's just wasted by bad mechanics, awful cash shop, and that cash shop will only get worse. Holy fuck, Ubisoft, get it together. XDefiant is a free-to-play game, except I paid for it with my sanity and time. My time thrice over, honestly, as I had to play it. I had to write the script out thinking about it. Then I had to record this 4 times. 4 times! More than 3, 4 times. Because then I have to put it together and edit it. Maybe 5 if I watch it. I don't even know if I'm going to do that. So, my time has been wasted 5 times over by this game. Good fucking riddance. Just, I did not like BattleBit Remastered, that Roblox-ass looking Battlefield knockoff. If you want to play a cheap shooter game, go play that. Like, I can appreciate what that developer is trying to do. You have classes, you have freeform weapon customization for the most part, attachments, you have trade-offs, you have great support from the devs, you don't have an abysmal future-looking cash shop. Go play BattleBit Remastered, and I did not like that game. Go play that instead of XDefiant. Go play any numerous other older game. Fuck, Battlefield 2042 is better than XDefiant now. Battlefield 2042 went through a massive improvement. Halo Infinite is now back up there and being playable and fun. You have so many other options you can choose to play. Just please don't play XDefiant. But you know what? In the end, it's up to you what you want to play. I'm not going to stop you. I can just say that I am so highly disappointed by a free-to-play game. It's ridiculous.